Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie and Chelsea, and I want to welcome you to Mental Health Week. We are the authors of Impossibly Possible book that's coming out May 11th, and we're so excited to have Valentina and Fred with us.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here. So can I have you guys introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Right. I'm Fred. My actual name is John, but when we started the business together, Fred seemed like a more interesting term, and it is actually my second name. So I've spent 40 odd years working with food in various guises, culminating in I started my own food company based in London back in 1999. My approach to food really stems right back to learning how to cook with my Italian mother. And that sort of really coloured the way my approach to food has always been all the way through my career. And I've then, latter years, sort of come to the stage of looking at things differently, and also then looking at what effect eating has on people, their outcomes, their mental health, what works, what doesn't work, and it just started really fascinating me. And then Valentina and I met up. So I'm now going to hand over to Valentina.
Thank you. Actually, just to tell everybody that we are in the UK, so we're really excited to be joining you guys on the other side of the ocean. At least I feel super excited about that.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I am not English, as you can tell from my accent. John is. I was born in Italy, in Rome, and that's where I grew up. I then lived in Portugal, in France, and I ended up being in the UK. I tried to escape many times, but it always brings me back here somehow.
Yeah. So sunny, bright.
Very sunny.
It really is freezing. So yeah.
Same here. We have like the first day of sunshine in like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm struggling with the weather. But so my background is in human rights and social rights, and I've been always passionate about democracy, and I've always had this sense of justice since I was little. I guess that's because of what I've seen my mother going through when I was little, which I'm going to share in a minute about my personal story. So I've always had that sense of justice. And that's how I ended up working with European institutions and NGOs. And I really wanted to really passionately make a change, as a young teenager would say. I got disillusioned by the institutional world, but that's just simply because it didn't work out for me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, it didn't really resonate with who I am. So I initiated a spiritual journey within myself, and I've explored so many different things and teachings and practices, mind, body, yoga, like so much stuff. And that's where we met with John, actually. We were training into this very unique mind, body, Korean yoga here in Brighton. And we both became masters of that practice. We were teaching Qigong, Tai Chi, and yoga. Wow. And we ended up running the center in Brighton together. And that's where we decided to set up our own business, because we wanted to bring our uniqueness out into the world. And I'm focusing on soul map, soul healing, and energy embodiment. And John is focusing on nutrition and food and the anatomy of food.
Yeah.
So I think that gives a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now you basically combine forces, and you work together. So if you have a client that comes to you, do you work together, or is it they choose whatever they feel they need the most?
Okay, yeah. So it's really up to the client. We offer online retreat. And I really like this word. It's not just because it's a fancy word, but when you look up into the dictionary, retreat means going back and retreat from an enemy. So basically from, a circumstance. So I really like the idea of someone taking the time and the space to go back within. And that's why we call retreat experiences. Yeah. So a potential client can just book a session with John and really create this food map that we call, where we look out into any aspect of how the person eat and the food and everything.
I'm just so you know, my background is 40 years working with food, and part of that process, which is a little bit more unusual, is that I was always fascinated by why people ate the way they ate. I'd watch how people were eating, just thinking, why are you doing that and why do you eat in that particular way? And that was the thing that really interested me. Then I just started sitting down with people and saying, okay, talk to me about what you eat day to day, what makes you happy, what makes you excited, the times of day that you eat, all this sort of thing. And I realized at the same time that my life was very guided by that whole food process. As I said, going back to working with my mother, if I wanted to connect with my mother, that was how I did it, by going into the kitchen. And that's what started the whole thing off. And what I realized was that connection for me with food and with people, it's always been there. It's almost like, for want of a better word, my safety blanket. You know, when things were going really bad in life and everything else, if I was running a kitchen, basically I would have to walk in that kitchen door, put everything mentally in a box, seal it up and stick it in the corner of the room, and then just totally focus on the food, because otherwise you'd mess up. And then at the end of that process, I could bring my box down, open it up and carry on. But it was a real safety valve for me. It really, really worked very, very well.
But so now it's a strength and a skill that John is using towards his session with clients. So it helped to learn a new, unique skill, I guess, in really empathizing with people and their needs. And the same...
Sorry, I do have a question for Fred. So you were saying that, like, the kitchen was your safety net. That's where you would go to escape the troubles. But I know you also said while you were in the kitchen industry, you had a lot of struggles because it was a very aggressive environment. So how did you use that love for food and deal with that?
Basically, when I came away from cooking with my mother and went into the profession, if you like, that was when, this was the 70s, and kitchens in the 70s, they were not nice places to work. And I can remember thinking, I don't understand this, because this isn't getting the best out of me. I'm not seeing it get the best out of the other people I'm working with. So it really, really imprinted on me very, very strongly that this was not the best way to cook. And when I eventually started my company, I went, right, what I'm going to do is keep it very, very simple, and treat people, but just treat them well, treat them like human beings. And it really worked. You know, people really enjoyed the work, really enjoyed the cooking, and it's getting that love and fun out of food. That's terribly...
I could imagine it being more passionate too, because you love your environment and you love what you do, that you just naturally put love and care into the food, which I could imagine also helps with your mental health and the way you eat, and because you appreciate it more.
Because it comes all from that position. If you look at like 2- and 3-star Michelin restaurant kitchens, they are really, really, it's like going to war every day. And yes, I know and I understand why and what. But if you put, and I've eaten in some amazing places because of the career, but if you put a plate of that style of food in front of me, it just makes me go, ugh, because I know it's physically and mentally gone in to create this amazing looking plate and put it in front of me. And I just think it's a killer. For me, that's what great food is about. The idea that somebody's sweated blood to get a plate of food out in front of you is just entirely wrong. And that's where I sort of came from when I tried to change that and change the way it worked. And yeah, to be honest, it was successful within the business I ran, but it's been successful since. You know, if people... a lot of people can't cook culturally they haven't had the experience to be able to do that. You just start from wherever you are and just, okay, get it simple. What stimulates you? Is it the colors? Is it the color of vegetables? Is it what the history? Do you want to learn about what your family background is? How far you go back? Where did you originate from? Do you want to find out about that? There's so many exciting routes you can take and go down. to actually achieve that. But we do. The thing with Valentina and I is, and I am a Brit. I am a true Brit. I burn terribly, but I'm actually half Italian as well, but on my mother's side. But yeah, Valentina always say, "Yeah, you're a Brit, really." But we work well together. You know, and sometimes I'll sit with Valentina and we'll work something out with food, and sometimes Valentina will take one look at me and say, "We need to train. You know, you need to get rid of this physically." So we work with each other and help each other. And this is again where the culmination of us working together and training together has really sort of come from.
So Valentina, so tell me a little bit more about like your background, your biggest like struggle that you've been through, and like how did you overcome it? So those that are out there right now, what tips would you give them?
You asking
you? Yeah, Valentina. Valentina,
okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I've come from a dysfunctional family, and experiencing domestic violence when I was little. And that sense of justice that I was talking about earlier came when I would see my mom being being repeatedly abused by my father. And I started to really develop that sense of like, this isn't fair. This shouldn't happen. And then what was worse was that the police at that time, nowadays we're lucky in a way because there is support for women, right? There is support for domestic violence. I do this because there shouldn't be the need for that. But anyway, that's a different discussion. At that time, there was anything like that. And my mom was coming from Poland and, she was speaking really good Italian, but she was alone. There wasn't any support. So she had to do everything herself. And so the police would just say when they would come at home that was normal and that, it's normal in a family. And that for me was like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And that, was the force that really empowered me to want to change my environment. Like, I do not want to live in this environment. What can I do to change my environment? And so I was that kid that was saying, before being 18, when I'm going to be 18, I'm going to leave home and I'm going to be by myself. And I did. And yeah, so I guess by really seeing and experiencing in my own skin what violence is, what unfairness is, I started to ask myself, okay, what really are the energies behind everything? Like, what is really going on? That was the question that was really with me. Like, what is really going on? Why this person is acting like this? Why this person is responding like this? All of that really helped me to understand how people works. And that's when I got into human rights, because I really wanted to know people and how people works and how people relate to each other as well.
I have a question for you, Val. So I know that a lot of people, when you grow up witnessing that, there's different ways you can approach it. Either you just think that that's the way life is, you can't change it, you just have to suck it up and live with it. But then, like you said, you decide that this isn't right, I'm going to make a change. Do you remember that moment when you realized that I'm not going to take this anymore, I have to make a difference, I'm going to go out and change the world? Do you remember that moment?
It's such a great question.
Or even the process?
I remember the moment when I felt like this isn't fair and I really don't want that. I guess there wasn't like a specific moment, but it was like a crescendo of different experiences and different times where I was like, I can't take it anymore and this needs to change. Actually, you reminded me now. I used to be a really good writer. And once I wrote this text for school, and I had experienced abuse just before going to school. So it was really hard because I was at home experiencing domestic violence, and then I had to go to school pretending everything was fine. But anyway, I wrote this text and I remember writing like, I'm so grateful to my father that he's teaching me this lesson, and I'm so grateful to my mother that is teaching me this lesson. So I guess maybe that was the moment where it wasn't from a place of hate or resentment that I decided I wanted to make a change. It was from a place of compassion and forgiveness that I wanted to make a change. So
I love that.
I love that. That is very inspiring, especially those right now that can relate to both of your stories, because I feel like it's so easy when you're stuck in a moment when life just knocks you down, when you feel like you can't escape. It's so easy just to keep going down that path. It's very hard just to step back a little bit, exactly just what you were saying, just to step back and be like, you know what, I'm going to take this as a lesson, take it, and to change your life. So I absolutely love that you took that experience, and I'm sorry they had to go through it, but I absolutely love how you were able to completely change your life and inspire so many of those around you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think talking to your audience, what I would say, whenever you experience injustice or any sort of pain or any sort of trauma, the first thing really is find your community. Because really, I was really young, and it was not like I had a spiritual teacher with me. I mean, I would have loved to, but I didn't even know they existed. But I remember really my friends were really saved me. They really saved me. They provided me that space, at least, and they still do. My best friends are still the people that provide me to that space whenever I need comfort. Not that just you find your own answer. Okay, you find your own way. You find your journey. You do. I guarantee you do. But
I also love your story. Sorry, just because Steph and I are always like the people that there's two of us, and there's not a lot of companies that do have two people, and just like the two of you, you're very different and have different passions. So seeing how both of you have gone through stuff and combining your passions to really change the world, I feel like that is extremely inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. It was, being part of this training, this center in Brighton, the mind body training that we did, really inspired both of us to just be like, there is something else.
Yeah.
There is something else. What is there?
Yeah, and even once a month we would do a special class where we bring everybody in the evening, do a class, and then finish off by everybody doing a bit of cooking and me working with them, and then we just sit on the floor with a cloth and have a meal. And it's amazing how in those scenarios when you talk to people over food, it somehow changes, and people who are maybe a bit uptight or a bit shy start relaxing, and the whole thing over some simple good food can really change the atmosphere and change the way people communicate with each other. And you get people who didn't say a word for a month, and then suddenly they would just start opening up because you're breaking bread in a community, and it is that community that can really make the difference. And I find my way of doing that is with food. That's what I love.
I think what is great about our connection is that we always saw the best potential of each other's, and we never try to make the other person something that is not. But we always value each other's for what we're best for. And another example is when we were working at the center, John was my boss and I was the coordinator, but he never told me what to do. He always trusted me that my ideas were right, and he always asked my opinion. And that's really amazing. Yeah, I was so lucky, of course, super lucky. But I felt trusted, I felt like, okay, I'm really valued for who I am here. And that's why our members love to come to our events, and they still call us, actually.
But he does. Valentina's got great ideas, great concepts. I mean, and if she asks me and say, "Go on, what's your real opinion?" I'll tell her. Otherwise,
that's important.
You have to
go for it, and let's see where it takes us. And that's kind of what we've done with Val&Fred since we started out. It's been very much that collaboration, and sometimes it can take a bit longer for us to get to where we want to get to. But we've traveled a journey together, and we know when we actually arrive, no, this is right. This is the right place to be in. So yeah, you know, we think we work well together. Yeah.
It sounds like it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, your stories are so inspirational, and you guys are lovely people. Like, you guys just make me feel welcome. So I feel like everyone needs to check you out. So where can people find you?
Absolutely. People can find us on Instagram. Hashtag is Val&Fred. Or they can just, and we post always like really good content in there. So sometimes you can find videos, you know, with like John making smoothies for me.
I know we're sitting in my kitchen at home at the moment. The amount of times that I've been doing something and Valentina's like this at my so yeah, we have a bit of fun with Instagram. We're on LinkedIn as well.
We're LinkedIn, so if there's anybody on LinkedIn, you can find us there. And our website, Facebook with private, at the moment is from my account, but anyway, you can find us. I just wanted, if we have 1 minute, I just wanted to give to the audience a practical, really great exercise that I always use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so, and it's for, you know, when you feel like things are tough, or when you just feel like you're stressed or overwhelmed, like, you know, I'm just thinking of, I don't know why I had this image, but a mother super busy, you know, with kids running around, and then husband, dogs, I don't know, like I just got this image, and you feel like, oh my God, a lot is going on and I'm not sure how to handle this. Okay, it's gonna take only 1 minute. I'm gonna just demonstrate. So I would ask everyone just to step back and then just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Yeah, you can do it. And then just putting a hand on the heart and just closing the eyes. I'm just really feeling and asking, where is the emotion in my body? Where do I feel in my body? Anything. Where do I feel in my body? Where does it feel I hold tension or any resistance or anything at all? And when you find that, you just place your hand where you feel like your body is holding on into any sort of tension, and you're breathing in, and you breathe out into that space. You're breathing in, and you breathe out into that space. And whatever your mind is telling you right now, judging, you just say, thank you, I love you, I don't need you right now. And you breathe everything out. I hope that helps.
I love that. I love that. You know what that reminds me of? It's almost like I've always struggled with meditating, to be honest. But that's almost like a different version of meditating, but in a way that I feel like I can really connect with.
Yes.
So I love that. I absolutely love it, because I've always struggled with just sitting there and not really, like, I've had guided meditations, but for some reason that I feel like I was able to connect with that a lot more. So yeah.
We have loads of more exercises, so anyone that is interested, you can just get in touch. So thank you so much, guys, for inviting us, and good luck with everything.
Thank you for being here with us. We do have all of your stuff linked in the description below. So if anybody's watching this and you want to connect with them, we have their blogs written below, and we have your social media also attached. Also, we are releasing a book May 11th called Impossibly Possible, and it's here to help inspire you to also get through those challenging times. So, you know, when you combine that with amazing people like yourself, you really will become unstoppable. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.